My name is Sebastian, and today I will be informing the audience about how to properly weightlift and weightlift for long-term results. Have you ever thought that weightlifting is relatively complicated and unsustainable? What if I told you that it doesn't have to be? The reality of it is that although there are many ways an individual can progress consistently, weightlifting can actually be simple. Everyone typically has resolutions to build and maintain their physical health, which can be improved by finding sustainable and simple methods of doing so. Not only can exercise have some effect on the body, but it can also reshape an individual's life positively. Personally, I have been weightlifting consistently and gained over 60 healthy pounds in the span of 4 years. Researched various studies and attempted different forms of exercise which have catered to my goals effectively. Once you know the basics of weightlifting, it can be simple and easy to manage in the long run. The three main topics that will be assessed within this speech are how to properly weightlift, bulk or cut, and recover. Weightlifting has many key parts of it, including a well-done technique. In order to maximize muscle growth, proper form can be executed to isolate the muscle in which it can effectively grow. Proper form includes controlling the weight slowly and extending all the way down on the movement that you are performing. To perform an exercise at 100% execution, the individual should first warm up the muscle. This is done by lifting weights lighter than they are capable of and building up until the weight that they normally do. Mayo Clinic argues in paragraph 11, cold muscles are less prone to injury than are warm muscles. These key aspects will likely increase the muscle growth to continue a long and sustainable active lifestyle. Weightlifting can be strenuous and it can even result in injury if not properly performed. Obviously, nobody desires injuries, as they can be drastic for years, maybe even decades to come. But unfortunately, people often overestimate the amount of weight they can handle. Our recommendations are that people should warm up first, and they should lift lightly when they first begin to work out in order to assess how much they can handle. A study from Ms. Walters from Fulcrum Fitness argues in paragraph 3 that one long-term benefit of exercise is that it can help prevent bone loss. If lifting lightly, then this can help prevent injury, and it can also fight against bone loss, which could yield long-term results. In order to build a well-balanced physique, each muscle group can be trained with equal intensity and frequencies, such as the same amount of times a week. Continuing linear progression can be answered by effectively overloading workouts over time, which can be expressed in many different ways, such as adding more repetitions, increasing the weight, or slowing down the process in which you lift the weight. Doing any of these forms of progressive overload is an approach that many people can do to continue the abundance of gains. Depending on the individual, they will likely either want to lose weight or gain weight. These terms are known as bulking and cutting. Cutting involves a slight caloric deficit, while bulking involves a higher caloric deficit, a caloric intake, meaning that the person would have to adjust their calories based on their goals. Losing weight can be achieved by eating less food or being more active. However, losing weight isn't simply about decreasing a number on the scale, but more effectively burning fat. Even if an individual is cutting or bulking, the goal can be assisted by a balanced diet. In order to create a diet plan catered to muscle growth, prioritizing protein intake can help. Without protein, muscles would simply not be able to adjust to progressing effectively over the long run, and as a result, not grow. Jeanette Restivo from Harvard Public Health states in paragraph 3, they're essential for growth and development, repair and build cells and tissue, such as muscle, and play an important part in body processes, such as blood clotting, fluid balance, and the immune response. Consuming a proportionate amount of carbohydrates and fats would maintain both energy levels and hormones, so even if an individual is cutting, they can comfortably do so without feeling lethargic. Bulking would enhance these macronutrients, and their effects would be even better in the long run. For example, the Village Health and Wellness Club argues in paragraph 14, just because you are gaining, you want to eat filling foods, not junk foods. High carbs and high protein intakes are key macronutrients for your bulk. People tend to associate calories with higher amounts of muscle gain, and although this can be true, it can also have detrimental effects if you are not consuming the right foods. An additional piece of information that may help when dieting is to space out meals between 3 to 4 hours from each other. Doing this may help with digestion and it won't upset your stomach as much. It also promotes a healthy and balanced lifestyle. Although fueling your muscles through diet and exercise may be perceived enough to let them grow, it isn't all there is to weightlifting. Recovery is another important part of optimally growing muscle. There are many forms of recovery that can allow an individual to weightlift for years on end. Sleeping for at least 6 to 7 hours a night is enough to fuel someone to function mentally and physically well. Without sleep, our days would just be a lot more tiring to get through, and especially combining that with sleep and training would make our days a lot more challenging. Generally, muscle soreness is a good sign of stimulating and even growing muscle, but it can be an indicator of requiring rest. Sometimes sleep might not cover all the stimulation done to your muscles after exercise. If needed, rest days help you, and usually 1 to 3 rest days a week are enough to get a good recovery. Even if you are not resting on a specific day, you can still find other ways to promote recovery. Such actions include cardio to get the blood flowing all over your body, and stretching, which can yield the same results. For example, Cleveland Clinic states in paragraph 15, over time, regular cardio exercises allow your muscles to adapt to an increased workload, making regular activity seem easier. This clearly indicates that cardio may promote active recovery by promoting blood flow within an individual's body. So, now that you know the basics, it is relatively essential that you know these basics because they'll help you in the long run. Wait, actually, I forgot this paper. Although weightlifting can appear complicated and unsustainable, once you know the basics of weightlifting, it can be simple and easy to manage in the long run. The 3 main topics that help understand within the speech are how to properly weightlift, bulk or cut, and recover. As Chris Bumstead said, a famous bodybuilder, work so hard that you want to quit. Be so hard that you never quit. This relates to the topic as weightlifting can be a very strenuous and demanding activity. However, you should not quit on these goals. Thank you.